recent week has been completely bonkers, so I'm just going to make a super short summary of all of it. But it all started when I found out that on April 2nd, 2012, 7 people were murdered, and this is the same day that Deltarune development started. Obviously, this is inspiration for the 7 humans that were killed, well, the 6 humans that were killed in Undertale. So it's obvious this had at least some effect on Toby. And most people by now know that Toby Fox originally had a fever dream that spawned Deltarune. I have said in multiple videos that it's probably on this day that he had that dream, but in the actual original tweet that he even said this in the first place that I for some reason didn't decide to go back and fact check, it actually says it happened in 2011, 1 year prior. I wasn't completely wrong though, because there's near indisputable proof that the actual game started being made in 2012 on April 2nd. This same day just so happened to be my 5th birthday. I've always been uncovering weird truths about Deltarune that no one else seems to notice, and now my actual birthday is directly tied to it. I also had a dream that basically showed me a flawless vision of the end of Deltarune Chapter 3. Not too long later, I had my own crazy fever dream. Well, it wasn't exactly a fever dream because I was actually sleeping, but whatever. It was a dream so weird and memorable that I knew I had to make it into something. And then only a couple days later, I see multiple videos about how tons of UFOs are being spotted all at the same time. So then I just connected the dots. I just started to see my own share of weird coincidences just around my neighborhood. Then I spotted a UFO of my own, and it almost looked like the one in my dream. And this was while I was streaming Kirby, and for the dumbest reason ever, I decided not to film it. But to be fair, it was moving pretty quickly, and by the time I got out there, it probably would have been gone already. So then is when I started posting about my findings. Make one last tie back to Deltarune. Unfortunately, during the midst of all of this, my dog, Dolly, passed away. There was no signs that anything out of unnatural really happened, except one particular thing that I still don't really feel like talking about because it's just, Rest in peace, Dolly. Literally see April 2nd on my coffee. And what's most interesting is this little flyer that we got from some weird Jehovah's Witness people. They always show up to people's doors and drop stuff off. Some sort of event is being held specifically at April 2nd and April 4th. The main event is at April 4th, but I just couldn't help to notice that April 2nd is there. Not quite related, but we have wood sorrel in our front yard, and for years we would always search, hoping that eventually we would find a 4-leaf clover in there. And my sister actually found one only a couple of days ago. And while it has nothing to do with everything else, that kind of luck indicates that the kind of luck that we would need for all of this to be true could also be possible. And just so anyone isn't confused, these have nothing to do with the fog is coming memes. Those are like completely unrelated. They're like the exact same thing, except mine actually comes from something and theirs are just like made up and just gaslight everyone into believing that it's real. They're all fine and dandy, but I think because of those memes, my whole alien conspiracy was taken less seriously. And as a final warning, I decided to spam links to the summarized instruction video everywhere, just in case it really happened. And here we are now. No aliens have invaded my house, or anywhere near me. It seems to just be a false alarm. Or is it? Something that I should have realized sooner is that since my role in the dream was so inaccurate to my real life, I probably could just be replaced with any random bozo, and it would still make perfect sense. However, the other characters, which is like most of the Stranger Things cast, are specifically those people who exist in the real world, and if any of this happened to be real, it would most likely be going on with them and not me, or anywhere near my area. Of course, I imagine these like impossible scenarios that by some weird turn of fate I would end up in their location, or they would end up in my location, but I think that's just main character syndrome. Even more so, I can't even remember half the details in the dream. It was a lot too hazy and I can't re-watch it. So I can't even remember for sure if I was the one that killed the Overlord in the dream. It's just that my character had the most significance in the story, so it just made more sense. But I honestly think it might have been Will that killed the Overlord. Or Noah Schnapp in this case. And then there's the date. Nothing in the actual dream said anything to do with or related to April 2nd. That was purely me connecting the dream to all the other stuff that all connects back to April 2nd. There's no more logical date, there's just nothing that confirms that that would be the date that it would happen if it was real. Other possible dates will be April 4th, since that's when the main event of this Jehovah Witness cult thing is gonna go on. Whenever Stranger Things Season 4 releases, or whenever something new Deltarune is released. Other than that, I don't really know. Or the Fog is Coming memes are legit, and it is going to be on whatever those dates. I don't think so, though, because the Fog is Coming versus this dream, like, the Overlord may be threatening and all, but it is super easy to kill if you know what to actually do. The Fog is Coming things obviously just have an infinite sense of dread, like there's nothing you can do but hide. I've been looking into some UFO sightings lately, and they all seem to have the same design, which is almost like the ones in the dream, but just not quite. Still worth noting. Finally, I shouldn't have to elaborate on this, but I will anyway. The reason Gaster is shown off in the thumbnail of the original video and referenced a few times is because Gaster is 100% being hyped up to be this eldritch, like this just godlike entity in the world of Deltarune, and if supernatural stuff is happening with Toby in the real life, then the sentiment is that Gaster is real and Toby Fox is just like a puppet. That should have been pretty obvious, but I'll say it anyway, just in case it isn't, and it's not as obvious that I say it is, because I'm just crazy. And most recently, I was informed that one of my neighbor's dogs, which was named after myself, has passed away. Which, of course, I won't be telling the name because that's literally giving my name. But either he died on my birthday or died just today. And either way, that is just too weird of a coincidence to not mention. Rest in peace. I don't have any pictures of him, but rest in peace. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. Believe it or don't believe it, doesn't really matter. It'll happen when it happens, because obviously my prediction was incorrect. Don't know what else. Oh.